All right. We're live on YouTube. Okay, live on YouTube, live on Facebook. We are recording here. Live on YouTube, live on Facebook, recording on Zoom. Internal recording. Did all of us get here safely? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're missing one person. Let's give him just a minute.
Mr. Clerk, I think he said he might be joining us a few minutes late.
Oh, okay.
We could start if we wanted to without him.
All right, Mayor, whenever you're ready. You're muted, good sir.
Okay, let's rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag
The
The United States
of America and to the republic
for which it stands,
one nation,
under
God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk, please call a roll.
Councilwoman Rami Rice. Councilman Began.
Here.
Councilwoman Organ.
Here.
Councilman Kaplan. All right, I see you there.
Here.
Hello.
Sorry.
Deputy Mayor Schwartz. Deputy Mayor Katz.
Here.
Mayor Dunleavy.
Here.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by resolution number 226-2020, sending a copy to the newspaper's official designated for 2021 by way of resolution number 111-2020, filing a copy in the township clerk's office and posting on the municipal building bulletin board. And the mayor hereby directs that this statement be included in the minutes.
Thank you, Doug. Good evening, everybody, and welcome. Some announcements for this evening. Township administration present at tonight's meeting are Dean Kaczynski, Township Manager, Doug Roussillon, Township Clerk, Ron Goodman, Volunteer Cable Caster Extraordinaire, and John Shadanian from the law firm of McCusker and Selmy, Rosen, and Carvelli. Upcoming events and council meetings. The next televised council meeting will take place on Tuesday, November 23rd at 7 p.m. And please, a friendly reminder, Municipal Election District Number 6 polling location has permanently moved from 5-star Premier Residences to the American Legion Hall on American Legion Drive near the Stop and Shop. So that's polling District 6 location is now in the American Legion Hall on American Legion Drive near the Stop and Shop. The renowned 2021 Teaneck International Film Festival is November 11th through the 21st. Find more information at www.teaneckfilmfestival.org. A reminder for everybody, although early voting has started, the general election is November 2nd, 2021. The council met in closed session to discuss the following: safety, contracts, Bell Avenue, PSE&G diversion, ARP monies, Teaneck Southern Little League, staffing, Teaneck Day, legal issues and or opinions regarding any items on open session agenda, litigation updates, Oprah, legal issues and or opinions on any items in the open session, other litigation updates, and as I said, Oprah. Presentations. Doug, do you have the certificate?
I do have this.
All right. I want to get out the just get out the right.
I think we can see it.
Our coach Alexandra Cavallo Teaneck's own, who is the head coach of the varsity women's soccer team here at Teaneck High School. For 2020, she was named as Coach of the Year of the Bergen County Big North National Division. This is a high honor for coaches in the soccer community. And Alexandra is one of our own. Actually, Alexandra played for the team and played with my daughters during those years. So we wanted to congratulate her. And I also wanted to mention just how wonderful their Thursday night senior game event went at the Sportsplex. We had almost a full set of bleachers on the west side of the Sportsplex, and although they lost the game 2-0, everybody was so impressed with that team, and I was so happy to see so many of the community out cheering for those girls. It was just a wonderful, wonderful night. And I also want to thank two other organizations who helped made it possible. And that is our Teaneck football organization, who graciously gave up some of their field time, along with Teaneck Southern Little League, who also afforded us an opportunity to have this game. So I thank both of them. I think Alexandra couldn't make it tonight because she's coaching a game. So congratulations to Alexandra, and we'll get her that certificate.
We'll mail it out.
Great, thank you. Work session items. Old business. New business, 2021 best practices checklist. I don't know, is Dean talking?
This is something that we must submit annually that our CFO, Mr. Abbasi, does for us. And it's something that we post on the agenda that typically coincides with us certifying the audit. So it's really an FYI that we are indeed following those best practices.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah, go ahead.
in connection, would you be willing to read the list of deficiencies found in the 2020 audit?
I just did.
Yes, and I just did as well. None.
I believe Dean will be speaking to that in his report, but I did want to bring up during new business. As you know, there was a little kerfuffle with some of the issues with the machines at the election site at Rhoda. I want to remind everyone that these elections are currently being run by the county, not by the town. In addition, the ballot, which is, I will say, busy, is also set up by the county and not the town. We have control of that ballot when we do our elections in May. But I want to tell you what happened a little bit, and so you know what we did as a town, even though we did not have real jurisdiction over this. Dean called me to inform me of some of the issues, and soon after, Doug called me. He was already on site as the township clerk to see what was going on. He reached out to the superintendent of elections to further find out what was going on and what the problems were. He was on site for a good part of the day. I too called the superintendent of elections to get a handle on this, and basically what I found out I wasn't happy about. And that was that they did not do a whole lot of testing on these machines. And they did not test it with real live residents or of a smattering of the community, senior citizens, whatever. And so people were just assuming that they would be able to use this new equipment, use touchscreens without any knowledge whatsoever. I asked them to reach out to the company to try and get some type of tutorial for people. I have a feeling that did not occur. And so while at the end of the day, I want everybody to feel comfortable that their votes were the ones that they voted. It is their vote, and they were put in properly. I know that not the clerk, the superintendent of elections reached out to anybody who was identified by the poll workers as having an issue. She called them directly and made sure that their vote was tallied correctly the way they wanted it to. So I don't think that there were any issues. I was a little concerned when the superintendent told me when I talked to her that some members of our community decided to call her office and indicate that they thought it was some type of fraud, some type of fixed election. That's very discouraging. But in the end, I want everybody to know that their vote went in, their vote was done correctly. And I don't want people to feel as though the system in any way tainted what they wanted to vote for and how they wanted to vote. Now, I also know that Councilman Kaplan reached out to me, and I know he wanted to make a few comments about this as well.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor, because I know that you and the manager and the clerk were inundated with comments as well. I went down to the Rada Center location just to see after people had voted. I didn't want to interrupt anyone beforehand what their thoughts were. And I also when a lot of people did not want to go through the trouble of reaching out to the clerk, I asked them if they wanted to just send me feedback, and I was happy to relay it. And I'll send that to the council, the clerk, and also the superintendent. But people were making comments, just reading from the feedback form, like it took 10 to 15 minutes to vote because of all the glitches. Stylus would not work on any of the public questions and could not zoom in. Helper did not know what to do, kept asking others to assist. Another person said, if printing ballots are scanned, why not just have us fill out the ballots? Another said, early voting is great, but you need to fix the equipment. I'm computer savvy, couldn't figure this out. Another said, 2 of the selections were only possible once I zoomed in. That's just a splattering of, some of the comments that came in. And, as many of you know, look, I want to be clear, first of all, I didn't speak with anybody prior to their voting, but I took this opportunity to ask them about the process because this really matters. And the new machines were purchased by the county, as the mayor said, but there's been considerable back and forth about particular referenda. I don't want to talk about that at the moment. All I want to talk about right now is something there should be no debate about, and it's that the ability of the general populace needs to be confident that their vote is secure and accurately reflects the will of the voters when it comes in. And the anecdotal evidence that the system has flaws appears to exist. I've heard feedback that certain sections need someone standing over your shoulder, effectively watching you vote, which has implications for secrecy of the ballot. I've heard that many choices, in 3 languages could be the culprit, because all of a sudden you have additional options and then multiple languages, and you need to zoom in order to get all of this stuff. And apparently adding a lot to the ballot might be a cause as well. What may or may not exist, the problem could be real. I don't know. I'll be honest, I just don't know. But what we do know is that if the last year, if 2020 taught us anything, it's that even the chance, a whiff or a specter of a possibility of a vote being tainted is enough to make people start doubting the validity of the very foundations of our democracy. And, the way people participate within it, for a lot of them, it starts and ends in the voting booth. So I've heard, some people ask whether the referendum can be pulled or whatnot. Look, I know that courts have sometimes allowed the petitioners for the referendum to pull them. They cite the role that the petitioners play as stand-ins for the people that brought it to the ballot. I don't know what they should do or what they want to do, or whether they would even want to consider that for another time. But, I believe the attorney can speak to whether or not that's an option for them, or at least look into it. But what we can do is give the experience of the voters to the county as feedback. And to that end, what I'd like to propose, if it's legal, is that after voting, we ask people if they can provide an accurate reflection of their experience and what that's been. And whether or not we are able to figure this out to everyone's satisfaction, I don't know, perhaps not. But I hope we could all acknowledge, after receiving all the facts about what's going on, that the best path to be chosen to go forward is to give everyone confidence that the systems we have in place for creating the leaders of TNEC today and into the future are accurately provided.
Thank you, Keith. And I just want to also mention to everyone that the machines that are currently being used for the early voting will not be the ones that'll be used on November 2nd. We will have the traditional machines that we have normally used. However, what I understand is going forward that all elections run by the County Board of Elections will be on these new machines going forward after November 2nd. So it's something also to consider when you decide to vote, where you want to vote. I think there'll be more discussions tomorrow, both with the superintendent of elections as well as the president of Dominion, which is the company that made the machines. And our staff is going to be they're monitoring what comes out of those meetings, and we will report and let everybody know. Okay. All right. Committee reports by council liaisons, Senior Citizens Advisory Board annual report. Councilman Kaplan. Oh, you're muted, Keith.
Sorry. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Obviously, the Board of Ed has elections coming up, and they've been meeting regularly. I'll have more of a report at our next meeting. The Historic Preservation Commission has met. They had a request, which I also put under council listed items, for signage at various locations. They took a resolution, which I just got the finished version today, so it didn't make the agenda, to put signage up for the BLM mural as part of a effort to bring educational awareness to various things in town. And one of the things that was brought up, which I think is worth considering, is having an art commission. I had mentioned with Mike Norris, who's the head of the Historic Preservation Commission, we have historic art in various places in the township. There's, whether it's a 1929 portrait of William Cullen Bryant that hangs at the Bryant School, or Nathaniel Hawthorne that's in Hawthorne School. We have art going back a long time. There's various pieces in the library, but there's really no overarching place where these things all fit under one umbrella. So the idea came forward from Historic Preservation that perhaps we can have an art commission that falls with a member in the planning board to have these things tied into the master plan, so people can see where exactly they are, and then have a group that can handle how to do the various discussions and signage and things that come up in regards to how we promote the art and bring new art into the township. So that's one thing that I would encourage us to have a discussion on, and if there's 4 nodding heads, to move forward with that sort of thing. And I just wanted to mention that they were all in favor of demarking the historic types of locations, and did pass the resolution for the BLM mural.
Keith, do do you think that they could put a little bit more meat on the bone in terms of the art commission and give us a little bit more distinct?
Absolutely. As long as there's, reception to it, I will certainly bring that back and see if we can flush out a full plan to present.
Does anybody object to having them be charged to do that? No, I see none. So Keith, why don't we do that?
Will do.
Okay, thank you. Senior Citizens Advisory Board Annual Report. Karen? Karen, or is it Karen or Mike? Whoop,
I think it might be Councilwoman Organ is the council liaison, but
right.
again, just like we did for, I guess it was the Hackensack River Greenway Advisory Board. This is just a product of that ordinance that we adopted last year to try and see what our advisory boards are up to annually. So this is, again, just FYI,
Okay,
unless obviously the councilwoman has something that she'd like to bring up.
yeah, it was on there, so I wanted to give her an opportunity to speak to it. Councilmember Organ?
Sorry, I think I was freezing. Can you hear me?
We
Yes,
can hear you a little better.
Okay, I'd like to read it. Just sorry, I may have to go upstairs. It may be the rain. I'd like to read it just because they worked hard on it. But if you can't hear me and I cut out, it's in the packets. It was presented by the Chair Jane Irwin and Deputy Chair Mickey Chelan. The Senior Citizen Advisory Board meets the third Thursday of the month at 1:30 p.m. This year we navigated Zoom and we met outside. Outside is much better. The accomplished projects, we implemented outdoor and virtual classes, resumed indoor classes, hired a full-time social worker and a full-time assistant, collaborated with age-friendly Teaneck to make parks more functional for seniors. As a first step, acquired chess tables and chairs to be placed in accessible locations, completed repairs to the Rhoda Center, ceiling, roofing, painting, and masonry, publicized and facilitated senior affordable housing applications, introduced public access television for improved communication to seniors. There were classes on our public access channels. Held a public ceremony to rename Birch Street in honor of Carol Otis, which was very moving and beautiful. The new projects and goals for 2022, intellectually stimulating classes such as art history and literature, bus trips to free New York City cultural events like the Botanical Gardens, museums, and rehearsals at Lincoln Center, monthly indoor movies at the Rhoda Center, initiation of a Teaneck choral group, introduction of Teaneck Senior Olympics, inauguration of Teaneck Senior Recognition Day, self-funded trips to Broadway matinees, the Huntington Playhouse Radio City, and launching of a Teaneck Senior Writers Online magazine. And as discussed at our last meeting, we also discussed maybe having a dance park, which would be great. I think that would be wonderful. And I look forward to seeing Major Sill dressed up. So that's it.
okay, thanks, Karen. And yes, you are freezing up, so you may want to change position there a little bit.
Mr. Mayor, just
Schwartz, you have something?
yes, a quick question to the councilwoman. These senior citizens throughout the year, they had some outdoor meetings. Where were those meetings? Where did those meetings take place?
I think we lost Karen, but most of them
Yeah.
were Zoom, but the ones that were held outside were right outside the
Right.
big stand close to the parking lot at the Rhoda Center.
Got it. Okay.
Okay. I have a short report, PPRAB, which also feeds into something that's going on this weekend that Deputy Mayor Schwartz is undertaking. They have completed their review, as I know many of us who have been on many walks around the parks for many months have a review. I put them together and shared that with the PPRAB, and it was amazing how similar the things were, to be quite honest with you. So they're wanting us to move on any number of those things, and I think one of the ways that we should move on it is to take a look at the list and see what things can be built into our budget versus other things that may need, outside funding or bonding to do. There's some big ticket items and some small ticket items. So I'll be I know Councilmember Organ and Deputy Mayor Schwartz did many of those walks, and I think Councilmember Pagan, you were with them as well on some of them. So we're going to get together and see, and then sit with Dean and see what we can do to start building some of this stuff into the budgeting process and to see which ones we want to move forward. And Deputy Mayor, do you want to just mention what we're going to do this weekend?
Yes, and Mr. Manager, if there's a chance, if you can have that sent out on social media, because we did post it on Facebook and we'll post it again on our own private Facebooks, personal Facebooks.
Okay.
This Thursday, ahead of the completion of this Saturday and Sunday, ahead of the completion of the developers agreement for the Haluba Townhouse project, the mayor and Deputy Mayor Katz is, if he's available, will be meeting me at 3:00 in person on Saturday at Herrick Park to solicit additional feedback from the community. Well, we met at least twice there already and got some feedback. This will be for additional feedback. For all those who cannot make it Saturday, keep saying that, there'll be a Zoom on Sunday as well at around the same time to solicit additional feedback as well, so we can send it to our attorneys to incorporate that redevelopment of Herrick Park with in conjunction with the developers and the legal structure and fees behind it.
Great. Thank you very much. Okay. Any
Committee?
other council?
Yes. Committee report, 2 reports. This is committee reports, right? Cedar Lane. The Cedar Lane committee is the Cedar Lane Management Group will be having Halloween back this in conjunction with the police department. I believe, Mr. Manager, you have their information, correct?
I do.
Excellent.
Yes.
So that'll be upcoming this coming Sunday. And secondly, just wanted to announce from a planning board perspective, some final numbers that came in. As many of you are aware, the November 1st tax bills are out, and 1/500, in light of the fact that it's got its CFO for the final floor, the tax bill for 1/500 Chinik Road has now been increased to $1.45 million. That's approximately $400,000 off of where the temporary was. And of course, 1.2 million above what it was when it was a vacant Verizon building. Additionally, 227 Chinik Road, which is a 25 unit project that the planning board approved, got its final tax bill, is now $132,000. That was the vacant gas station. And New Bridge and River Road was just increased to $203,172. Lastly, 1280 Teaneck Road, the new retail strip store, has just been increased to $44,976 from the long dormant site that was paying $8,000. We thank the council and the residents for their support on these projects and the financial benefits that it brings to town.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Anybody else have a report? Okay. We'll move on to council listed items.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
No, I just wanted to report that the zoning subcommittee met a few times in the last between meetings. One was continuation of Holy Name Hospital expansion. One was to talk about reviewing the overparked here in Teaneck as far as the building sizes, and Deputy Mayor Schwartz can speak about that. One was to review the 2 litigation items that we have by the boards that won't be discussed obviously tonight. And Deputy Mayor Schwartz, did I miss? What else did I miss?
Sorry about that, mute. Most of it was the legal matters that we discussed that the lawyers have filled us in on. So I did, yes, one thing we briefly discussed on, I'd like to tie in Councilman Kaplan if he's available. We discussed we discussed potential parking changes to our ordinances, which is being worked on in our upcoming subzoning committee. But the last report, which was forwarded and Mr. Kaplan will make a presentation on, is when planning these buildings, the Board of Ed anticipated how many children will go to the public schools from many new sites. What we now have from the Board of Ed are the actual factual numbers. And for that, I'd like, if Mr. Mayor, with your permission, to turn it over to Councilman Kaplan on my behalf.
Go ahead.
So if I can, Mr. Mayor, I'll just say that, one of the things that happens when a development comes before either the planning board or the Board of Adjustment is that there's a guesstimate, I will say. I mean, obviously, these are done based on experts' predictions in similar places of, how many children of school age children do you think are going to be in a 2-bedroom apartment? How many kids per 10 apartments? How many? And they put in their estimates so that the town and the board that's hearing the application is able to adequately assess the monetary impact of decisions that come before them. The Board of Ed on their own went and did an independent analysis that was done by Whitehall Associates several years ago. And rarely do we go back and take a look to see, how accurate these things are. But, I was talking with Deputy Mayor Schwartz from the development end, and I am the liaison to the Board of Education. So I reached out to Superintendent Irving, and he was able to provide us with a list of how many school-age children were in each of those developments. So if I could just show you that for a moment here. The number of predicted school-age children in 1500 Teaneck Road, for instance, according to the Whitehall Associates report, was 44 school-age children. The actual number that are in the building, which is filled up as of right now, is 14. So difference was they guessed 30 higher than actually came out. At 1775 Windsor Road, which is Avalon, they have 248 apartment units. The Board of Ed suggested that would mean 63 school-age children. There wound up being 28. They were off by 35 in that estimate. 890 Palisade Ave assumes
Not occupied. Skip.
I'm sorry, 890 Palisade assumed 4. They did not have any.
No. Sorry, just Keith.
1387. What?
Those are skipped. 1387,
I'm sorry.
890 are not yet occupied.
Those are not yet
764 is
occupied.
Was just
That's right.
occupied this month, so I apologize.
So skipping down, 1475 Palisade Ave had 28 guests. There are currently 4. 227 Teaneck Road had guessed 7. There are currently 11. That one they undercounted by 4. But as far as the totals go, they had guessed approximately 150 school-aged children. It turned out there were 57, and he was Superintendent Irving was kind enough to tell me where they are in school. So if you go and take a look at the actual numbers per school, the largest was Teaneck High School, spread over 4 grades and multiple classes. There were a total of 19. Generally speaking, it was under 10 in each of the schools. And the Board of Ed report is available here. And I am happy to, share those results with the clerk so we could put them on our town website. But I did want to share with the public that the fact of the matter is the numbers were generally far lower because there were a lot of people that were nervous we would not be able to absorb the number of kids that would be entering these apartments. And as it turns out, the numbers were far lower than the planners, the planning board's experts, and the Board of Ed's experts had all guessed.
Okay. Anything else? No? Okay. Let's move on to council listed. Arts Commission, THPC request for signage, Councilman Kaplan.
I think I covered that under the last time, so I'll just bring that back to the THPC and we'll get back to you.
Okay. Continued partnership with TIF. Councilmember Rice is not with us tonight, so I tried to look at the history, and apparently we have done some sponsoring or partnering with TIFF for various specific, I believe, films for various advisory boards. I think one was done in, I have 2016 and 2017. And I understand in talking with Dean that we do, I think annually, Dean, we do support for the film. festival.
That's correct, Mayor. And we're doing the same this year, as well as posting their flyers on our website and at the front entrance of the Richard Rota Center.
What did you say we're doing the same this year, Mr. Mayor? I'm sorry, Dean.
1,500, Deputy Mayor.
So I have to.
I have to say, I'm sorry, Mr.
Go ahead.
Mayor.
Go ahead.
I have to tell you that the Teaneck Film Festival is really a jewel in Teaneck. It makes Teaneck look great. Sorry.
Yeah.
And I can't say enough about Judy Disler. She is a powerhouse and a superwoman. But sadly, I do want to say that, and I've gotten complaints, and I know some other council members have gotten complaints as well, that the director has politicized this and really turned the film festival into his own little political machine, using his title, using his, whenever he endorses. Now, certainly anyone can do it as a representative, as a individual resident. We are elected officials. We don't have the luxury of taking away that title. I guess we do, but not when we represent. I have a concern that there'll be plenty of other organizations that will get in line now for money. If this is a precedent that we're accepting and working with.
I don't think, Deputy Mayor, I don't think this year a precedent. My understanding is it's been done.
No, I think the way it's been handled under their leadership right now, or under the director, is a new precedent. And now we're giving money to it. How is this any different from other dozens of great organizations in Teaneck? We have LADA for the Latino community, you have Jewish organizations, you have NAACP, we have CARE for the Muslim organizations, lots of great organizations that do work for residents of Teaneck. Where should we start making that list? Should we just put up a sign that Teaneck donates now $1,500 to anybody and everybody? I think that we should carefully review what's going on now with this organization before we continue with this donation. Like I said, spectacular work, but it's changed. The way it's been politicized, the way the director has come out publicly politicizing it, I think it really puts us in a very slippery slope as far as making donations. And I yield to the attorney on if he thinks that this is what we should be doing. And then where does it stop? And at what organization do we say, okay, this is taxpayer money. We have a responsibility to protect the taxpayer money. What do we do?
Well, let me ask a question of those who were here when this started. I think a couple of you were. Was there criteria set up for these types of donations? Was there any?
I don't think so, but it was more of a community event. It was for the community. It was not a political, or I know he's going to say he's not political. He is political. Every single video he does, everything he does, he puts in that first statement of who he is and and representing or that this is what he's done. He's using it as a political vehicle. So, he can come and try to refute all he wants. Anyone looks at his body of work in the last year and a half will see that this is what's happening. And now we're funding this. And I'm telling you, residents have complained to me. And I know residents for a fact have complained to other members of council. And I don't know, Mayor, if you've heard it. And the question is, okay, if this is the way he wants to go with, leading this organization, then great. But maybe the taxpayers of Teaneck should not be funding it. and it's sad to say that 'cause it's a great organization and they put out such great work. But a lot of organizations do a lot of great work.
Other comments?
Is there a financial package that we get from that, a financial package, a financial report? Is this a quasi-town organization? I know the town does a lot of work with them. Is there a way is there a financial report or it's not our purview? I don't know, who is this, a 501c3?
No, I think they're their own organization. We don't,
Are they a 501c3? I mean, I guess I could look it up now. Are they a 501c3 or you don't know?
off the top of my head, Mark, I don't know. The request that we have is to have the Stigma-Free Advisory Board partner on a film there called A Different Key, which they feel fits with their mission and what they're trying to do. In addition, there's a film called Little Girls, which probably fits into mission, vision, whatever, of our Pride Advisory Board.
Mr. Mayor, that's the other question. I mean, the deputy mayor mentioned it, and he's right. You know, the organizations that we do participate in, the forum, we get financials. The Cedar Lane Management, which is not really a TNEC, but we are somehow the administrator of that. We get financials. We even vote on it. I mean, do we even know where the money's going, how they spent money? Do we have any financials? Can we request that?
It's not a 50. I don't see it. They don't file a 990 as a tax exempt search. So
They do or they don't, Mark?
they do not under that. I'm on the IRS website, which I use all the time, and they're not listed as a tax exempt organization under either the TIF or TNEC International.
So you're saying it's a for-profit then?
I'm saying maybe they're not.
absentee
I'm just saying, I think what we're looking is for more information.
Okay.
I mean, if I represented Deputy Mayor Katz correctly, I don't want to speak for him.
Other comments?
Mr. Mayor, I too have been hearing some complaints about this.
I mean,
director and
I'll
his
just
political involvement.
say, if I
Hold
may,
on,
Mr. Mayor.
Keith, let Mike, he's talking, then you. Go ahead, Mike.
Oh, sorry, Keith. I think Keith might have froze, but I too have been hearing some complaints about the political activities of this director. And if I'm not mistaken, he actually sued the town along with several others for the referendum about a month ago. So there have been some people complaining about his political involvement, and I am interested in seeing whether this is really a nonprofit or not, and what's been spent in terms of township money that has been donated to this organization.
Councilman Kaplan? Keith, did you freeze?
Mr. Mayor, while he's unfreezing,
Go ahead.
I mean, just so that, listen, I know that excerpts will be taken of this and they'll post it however they want to post it. First of all, I happen to be the one who maybe don't hold it against me, those who have been complaining, but I'm the one who got the director his position. I'm the one who introduced him to the film festival. Like I said, it was a completely different festival there, and it was, it wasn't intended to be a political festival or politicize it. And the other, I want to make a comment, is that everybody is entitled to do whatever they want politically in this world. That's thank goodness we're living in America, not Russia or China. But with that said, to use this as their forum and use this and make it look like it's quasi-political because it's being used, and then come to the taxpayers and say, oh, by the way, can you fund us? I think that's where whether it's allowed or not allowed, I think there's some very gray area here, and that's my concern. Like I said, I'm hurt to say this because the film festival is a spectacular and a great event for the Township of Teaneck. And Judy Disler is the most dynamic, amazing person ever.
All right, so we have been giving $1,500 here since 2016. And it sounds as though you haven't had any criteria for this at all. So, Councilman Kaplan?
Yeah, sorry, I was on the wrong Wi-Fi network here. I agree with Deputy Mayor Katz. I think it's we have a lot of wonderful programs, and what we wind up finding, if you look through our bill list, is there are times when something is paid for, it's on repeat, and we never take a look at it. This existed before I was on council, and I never got these specifics of what the money was going for, what exactly it was going to bring to Tina. In other words, can we evaluate the plan? Is this subject to the same pay-to-play rules that, if somebody was doing something, for the town to go and get a contract, that they couldn't be donating to certain people? Am I, in essence, did I receive any funds when I ran for council from the place that did this? Do we even have that kind of paperwork for people that do this? There are basic questions that I would want answered before I reflexively give assent to even something I think is a worthwhile program. But if we can get answers to several of those things, not just from this applicant, but others like them, I don't want to single them out, but I know that there are times that the township sort of goes on autopilot for these things, and I'd like to start taking a look at them on a case-by-case basis if need be, to see that we're adequately doing right by the residents as trustees and fiduciaries of their funds.
Okay. Dean, can you give us a little history here and where we're at with this funding?
Sure. Again, as you mentioned, we've been giving $1,500 a year since 2016. It comes out of the council donation budget item sub account, and some of those monies that are in that account come from donations we may get from FDU. There was a request to again donate $1,500 to the film festival. And, I need to have a direction from council this evening if that's what we're going to do.
Mr. Mayor,
Deputy Mayor?
seeing that there is concern, I'd like to request, I don't know if you want a motion, that we invite the leadership of the film festival to the next council meeting. I don't know if this is a closed session, open session. I'll leave the attorneys to decide. We express the concerns that we've had. We asked them for the financials, if they can please submit it so that we can see what's going on with the money, and then make an informed decision rather than a decision based on, a haste right now.
I'll second that request to have a meet with him.
Mayor?
Yeah.
I just think, I don't remember the dates of TIFF off the top of my head this year, but I think our next council meeting might be after those dates.
So
Yes,
right now,
It would be an open session item, by the way, Deputy Mayor.
all right. I'm hoping that the financials are in good shape. I don't know.
Is it something that can be done with the subcommittee of council, so it doesn't have to be done at a public meeting? And they could give a recommendation?
Theoretically, anything can be discussed by a subcommittee and come back and make a recommendation to council, but no action can be taken by that subcommittee with respect to the request for the donation.
All right. So what is your pleasure? Do you want to form a subcommittee to meet with TIF leadership and get these questions answered? Silence is not an answer.
In
Your motion, just a suggestion, because we don't know what's going to come out, and I don't know that it should be up to you.
Right, there may be some, you're right. Listen, I'm not against that concept.
while council discusses that and the monetary donation, I do just want to confirm with everybody that I have taken TIF's materials that were sent to the mayor and I put them on our website, social media, email blasts, et cetera, spreading the word in that way. which has nothing to do with the monetary
I
piece.
personally-
Mr. Mayor,
not-
if I can, in the first instance, at least can we send a letter to TIF requesting information regarding exactly what the funds are used for, how the organization works financially? Are we funding the whole thing? Is it a small part of it? What exactly is the town's role? And, at a minimum, the contribution forms that we, ask of all people just to be filled out. Can we start there? And then once we get that information, we can figure out where to move further in terms of how we want to talk about this.
I can take care of that tomorrow.
And I mean, and then just to be clear to the residents, and Mr. Manager, correct me if I'm wrong here, we're still donating, in kind, the use of certain rooms and employees. And in the past, I know we did law enforcement. I don't know if that's being done this year as well, but that's still happening.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so nobody should feel that, we're not supportive. We're supporting, and it's taxpayers' money, and it's several thousands of dollars. But allocation of funds is a little different. And like I said, the perception of the political organization or being led now as a political organization is something that's unfortunately, it's a stain.
Okay, so Dean, you want to,
I got it. I'm on it.
okay. All right. Okay, Dean, manager's report.
Sure. I just want to spend a few minutes on updating everyone about our COVID statistics and booster vaccinations, getting a lot of inquiries from my office on a daily basis. The Rota Center, so that everyone knows, if you're not aware, moved operations to 3 University Plaza Drive in Hackensack. That's for booster vaccination. So Holy Name moved their site from the Rota Center to 3 University Plaza in Hackensack. And this was mainly due to early voting and basketball leagues that will be taking place utilizing the gym. To update everyone on Holy Name status, they have 9 patients that are admitted presently to the facility. All 9 of them were not vaccinated. Fortunately, no one is on a ventilator. Teaneck has 4,373 cases. We're up 150 from the last council meeting. So that's an average of roughly 6 per day since October 4th. Children represent slightly more than 30% of all the cases, totaling 55 during the past 21 days. Of the 55 cases reported among children, 50% are among children ages 5 to 11, and that totals 37 cases. And then you have the age group 12 to 17, which totals 18 cases. Deaths, fortunately, have remained the same at 123. They have not increased in a while. A short time ago, actually late this afternoon, a children's dose of Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine was recommended for emergency use authorization by a Food and Drug Administration Advisory Committee for individuals 5 to 11 years of age, which is good news. The FDA's final ruling is going to take place in a few days, and the FDA is expected to approve the shot for kids as early as Halloween or by November. Regarding booster doses, again, this is important, specifically Pfizer and Moderna. The CDC and New Jersey Department of Health has approved booster doses at least 6 months after completion of the 2-dose primary series of the vaccines for the following adults. These are the people that are eligible: people 65 years and older, people aged 18 and older who live in long-term care settings, people aged 18 and older with underlying medical conditions, and people aged 18 and older who work or live in high-risk settings. Regarding J&J, all adults age 18 and older who received a dose of J&J at least 2 months ago. So this pertains to, I get a lot of questions about mix and match booster doses. Eligible people may choose which vaccine they receive as a booster dose. We certainly encourage you to speak to your physician if you have any questions about that. For the immunocompromised, people with severely weakened immune systems are approved to receive a third dose of the same vaccine at least 28 days after completing 2 doses of Pfizer or Moderna. For more information, people can go to cdc.gov/immuno. That's cdc.gov/immuno. All Holy Name sites offer Pfizer vaccine for all those who are eligible. J&J and Moderna doses are offered only at their actually Teaneck Hackensack site, which is University Plaza, which I mentioned before, 3 University Plaza in Hackensack. Again, to make your appointment, the website has not changed. You can visit vaccine.holyname.org. I was told there's really no waiting time to get your appointment. It's easy to do and certainly encourage those that are eligible. Moving forward on some other business projects, PSE&G contractors are almost done with upgrading all of our municipal facilities with energy efficient lighting and other items to include boilers and tankless hot water heaters. The boiler and hot water heating system was recently replaced at the main municipal building 2 weeks ago, making it much more energy efficient, which is great news. The municipal building roof contractor started, ironically, drain work yesterday. Roof supplies are trickling in, and this is a problem every day with getting these supplies in due to COVID. We anticipate another 2 weeks before all the supplies are in and become available from the manufacturer. And once they're in, again, we'll have a complete roof repair on the older side of the municipal building. While milling and paving for the 2020 road resurfacing project is going to be completed by this Friday, weather permitting. For next year, we've identified 40 streets under consideration for the 2021 road resurfacing project. That number certainly needs to be narrowed down to fall within our budget. We generally allocate $2.1 million in capital for road resurfacing projects. So that 40 streets will probably be cut down to 30 to 28 streets. So we're working with the engineer now to finalize the list. That should be coming out very shortly. We're holding the bid opening next week for window replacements at the municipal building, which is good news. Work on Oakdean Avenue between Teaneck Road and Morningside is going to be completed by December 1st. This street, as everyone remembers, suffered significant damage during Ida. This was a street that was originally scheduled to be milled and paved. We had grant monies for it, but we put on a skim coat. We milled and put on a skim coat just to get us by. But the final work will be completed soon. And again, the road will be milled again and resurfaced with 2 inches of asphalt. And again, the cost for this project on Oakdean was funded by a grant. All the work at the Rhoda Center is complete. Final cleanup was performed by the contractor. Demolition work on the municipal basement is going to go out to bid next week, which is good news. The project architect for Station 4 is updating the current plan to include roof repairs, and that work should begin soon. We received notice, I know I keep bringing this up about Tuyun Park, the playground equipment. We received notification now that the playground equipment is set to arrive sometime in November. Again, the delays are not due to us. It's due to the manufacturer receiving the supplies, and everything is delayed because of COVID. Once it's received, we will install and it'll be ready for use. The new design for the Voti Park band shell is almost complete. We are now adding LED lighting bollards along the path, so that's really going to be a fantastic facility. With luck, this should be done by July of 2022. Suez continues to do test pit work on Linden Avenue between Alma and Hillcrest in preparation for a new water main replacement. Engineering is working on a plan to improve traffic in the areas of Queen Anne and State Street, as well as Windsor and West Englewood Avenue. The intersection of West Englewood and Windsor, if everyone remembers, we changed it to an all red cycling, allowing for pedestrians to safely cross with no vehicle traffic. However, that seems to be one of the causes for the backup in those areas. So we're looking at all solutions to keep it safe for pedestrians and keeping traffic flowing in that area. Engineering is also doing the traffic study on Queen Anne Road between DeGraw and Cedar. Got a few requests for additional crosswalks. So we're looking to install 2 new crosswalks between those streets. And they must be separated by a distance of 200 feet and be in compliance with the Municipal Uniform Traffic Control Device guidelines. We're in the process of applying for a drainage grant through the New Jersey Local Transportation Project Funds. If awarded, the township could receive $750,000 to $1.5 million in aid, which should help us with offsetting some of the costs with the drainage project that we plan to commence with on Bell Avenue. We're also applying for a local freight impact grant for Palisade Avenue from West Anglewood Avenue to the far north end, and that would include Galway Place, and that would be to resurface that entire roadway. We're also submitting a CDBG grant application for Prospect Terrace as well as Arlington Avenue between Robinson and East Forest for resurfacing in 2022. I anticipate we'll probably get that grant money. Again, those are 2 additional streets we can resurface, and along with Palisade Avenue at no cost to the taxpayers. At the November 23rd council meeting, we're going to award the Penn Avenue tree service contract. Work will resume immediately and will be completed by mid-December. Tonight's meeting, we're awarding a contract that allows us to purchase Zetron 911 911 consoles and accessories. And this will allow TNEC to become a 911 public safety answering point when all work is completed, which is good news. The police department continues with Tryon Avenue traffic enforcement, zero tolerance. We're waiting 2 new portable speed radar machines. Once we do get them in, we will mount them on Tryon Avenue, 1 east, 1 west. And again, as I mentioned to council, I'm also considering speed humps, working with engineering to make sure that's the right thing to do in that area. We're finishing the Garrison Avenue traffic calming striping between Beverly and West Anglewood Avenue. So hoping to get that done before the end of the year. A little bit about best practices. The mayor brought it up earlier, the Division of Community Affairs. Just a little bit about best practices. Division of Community Affairs established best practices inventory in calendar year 2010 under former Governor Chris Christie. The checklist or inventory was designed as part of Christie's toolkit to provide measures and incentives designed to support local governments for planning and managing our budgets more effectively and set up a platform that enables officials at all levels of government to do a better job reviewing their existing services, programs, and workforces, and also to set budget priorities. The score, so everyone understands, on the municipality's checklist coincided with the amount of withheld state aid fund, if any, for the municipality's final payment, with the maximum withholding penalty set at 5% of the final December state aid installment. For 2021, the minimum score required to retain 100% of our municipality's state aid payment was 15 points. I'm happy to announce that TNEC earned a score of 22.5. Again, there's always room for improvement with this. Issa and I have been working hard on this, and there are some areas that we can increase our scores to make our managing more efficient and provide the best services to the residents. So again, there's always room for improvement. Our score was good. It could be better, but again, we're not losing any state aid. And since its inception in 2010, the township has not lost any percent of its final state aid payment through the best practices inventory. The Finance Subcommittee held the audit exit conference with the auditor to discuss the completion of the 2020 audit earlier this month. The audit is available to everyone online for public view. I'm happy to report again that there were no findings by the auditor for the 2nd consecutive year. So, I thank Issa, I thank my staff for their hard work, and we'll continue to work hard and hopefully get the trifecta 3 years in a row for no audit findings. Additionally, we anticipate the receipt of the credit card terminal sometime this week from our vendor and anticipate training staff and launching the use of the terminal by mid-November. Representatives from Bogota Savings Bank also met with ISA and our MIS director to place the ATM machine, and we anticipate receipt of the machine going live by sometime mid-December. During the week of November 1st, all department heads will present their proposed 2022 budget. Operating budgets, to me, all meetings are open to the public and will be held via Zoom. The schedule of the hearings is available on the township's website and our social media platforms. Couple appointments that I made. I appointed Marvin Williams, Joseph Sims, and Anthony Prezzuso to the position of laborer at Public Works. That's going to be effective November 16. And also a reminder to everyone, the township's flu clinic is taking place tomorrow and again next Wednesday at the Rhoda Center between the hours of 10 and 1. To make an appointment, please call our health department at 201-837-1600 extension 1500. There is no charge for Medicare Part B and $25 for all others. Payments by check only. Must be a Teaneck resident, 50 years of age and older, pregnant or chronically ill with a doctor's prescription. So please take advantage of that service. Again, that's at the Rhoda Center tomorrow and again next Wednesday. End the report.
Thank you, Dean. And again, I think on behalf of the council, I want to thank you and ISA and everybody on staff for just a tremendous audit report. I mean, it was clean as a whistle, and it shows just how well you were able to manage our finances through some very, very difficult times. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, on to formal meeting items, public hearing and adoption of ordinances. Doug, if you could read in the titles of the ordinance, please.
With honor, sir. Tonight, second reading, a few ordinances. Starting ordinance number 40-2021, amending section 33-24, zone district requirements of Article 5 zoning ordinance of Chapter 33 development regulations of the Township Code to add subparagraph A5G to permit circular driveways within the RS residential single-family detached zoning district as amended by ordinance 31-2015. Ordinance number 41-2021, establishing salary ranges and classifications of positions for municipal employees in the Township of Teaneck, included within the Professional Fire Officers Association of Teaneck, FMBA local number 242 for the years 2022 to 2026. We have ordinance number 42-2021, amending section 36-11.2 of Division 1 of Article 2 of Chapter 36 entitled Traffic of the Township Code, deleting restricted on-street parking spaces for the handicap at 735 Elm Avenue. Ordinance number 43-2021, amending section 36-11.2 of Division 1 of Article 2 of Chapter 36 entitled Traffic of the Township Code, adding restricted on-street parking spaces for the handicap at 65 West Forest Avenue. We have ordinance number 44-2021, establishing salary ranges and classification of positions for municipal employees in the Township of Teaneck, included within Local 820, Council 52 of the AFSCME Union AFL-CIO for the years 2022 to 2026. We have ordinance number 45-2021, amending ordinance number 23-2020, establishing salary ranges and classification of positions for municipal employees in the Township of Teaneck, included within the Teaneck Public Workers Association, Inc. and United Public Service Employees Union, the Department of Public Works non-supervisory contract for the years 2020 and 2021 to add thereto the positions of plumber and carpenter. Ordinance number 46-2021, amending ordinance number 32-2021, establishing salary ranges and classification of positions for municipal employees in the township, included within the Teaneck Public Workers Association Incorporated and United Service Employees Union, Department of Public Works non-supervisory contract for the years 2022 to 2026 to add the positions of plumber and carpenter. Last but not least, we have ordinance number 47-2021, amending section 36-14.1 of Division 2 of Article 2 of Chapter 36 entitled Traffic of the Township Code, adding Aldrich Court to prohibited parking 10 a.m. to 12 noon, except on Saturdays, Sundays, and holidays. Mayor, those are all the ordinances that we are hearing.
Thank you, Doug. I'll open it up now to council. Does anybody have any comments they wish to make regarding these ordinances? I just want to make sure I got everybody because you're not on my screen. Hold on. Everybody, good, Councilmember Organ?
I just want to say in regard to the fire officers and the AFSCME contracts, it's wonderful how each contract is getting agreed upon, signed, the work that Dean is doing and the work that the unions are doing, and just make this seamless and the length of the contract. So kudos to you, Dean. That's really great.
Yeah, I agree with you, Karen. It's going to make it a lot easier for budgeting purposes to have some cost certainty here going forward for the town. And Dean, and in partnership with the unions, have really helped out the town. So thanks to both sides for making this happen.
Yes, we should have, again, we should have there's 2 remaining contracts that do expire the end of the year, council. Again, I'm confident they're going to be settled, and probably the first time in many, many years that all the 8 collecting bargaining agreements are settled, not only for 1 or 2 years, but for 3 to 5 years. So we're in good shape, and it's certainly going to help us out for budgeting for years to come.
Yeah, I agree. All right, I don't see anybody else looking. I'm sorry, Councilmember Kaplan.
I'll just mention one thing, only because I was a bit shocked when I saw it. The ordinances call for a 2% salary increase across the board for these various locals. I'm sorry, 1.9 in 2022, and then 2% for the others. And you know, in this day and age, I just want to thank the manager, because when you take a look at the council's ability to go and keep costs down, at least on the municipal side of the ledger, the largest part of that ability goes to successful negotiations between happy management and happy employees. And I am very thankful that Dean Kaczynski was at the helm on this one. So thank you very much.
Okay. All right. So at this time, I will open up for public comment. The comments are just for these ordinances only. You will have time after this to comment on whatever you want, but the comments here are just for the ordinances that you just heard read in by the clerk. Okay, so Doug?
Again, thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Teaneck. Again, this is the public portion for just these ordinances, which again, the record is ordinance 40 to 47-2021. The first hand I see here is Mr. Alan Sohn. And again, everybody has 3 minutes. I don't like cutting people off. If I unfortunately need to cut you off because your 3-minute mark is up, please email me, your clerk at clerk@teanecknj.gov, and I will be sure to copy and paste your thoughts and comments verbatim into the minutes. Mr. Sohn, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, sir. 3 minutes.
Tonight's meeting includes ordinances 41 and 44, which give salary increases to employees, and they deserve them. Similar ordinances have been adopted or are being introduced in the months ahead. With salaries and benefits accounting for some 3/4 of the budget and rising constantly, it is simply impossible to maintain the streak of 0% budgets that I helped jumpstart in 2015. The 4 years from 15 to 18 had almost no increases in the tax levy, no increases in debt, while maintaining services and increasing spending on roads that had been neglected for years. While I was able to find genuine waste and fraud that could be cut in the municipal budget, the reality is that what has been misrepresented as 0% budgets over the past few years have been accomplished with smoke and mirrors, with reduction in services and the abuse of debt to cover current and past expenses. Taxes have gone up every year as debt reaches historic highs yearly, with another $6 million in new debt being introduced later tonight. The gamesmanship of pretending that taxes are being kept level while services are being cut is apparent. Residents are forced to beg township officials to deal with basic municipal services like removing leaf piles. You'll see these requests streaming in over the next few weeks as the leaves start falling from the trees, exactly as they have every year. If there's a burglar breaking into your car or a fire in your kitchen, sending an email or a Facebook post to a council member doesn't do you any good. It's simple math to see that rising wages, especially as employees move up the steps on the pay scale, will only accelerate faster and faster, just as all of the debt incurred in recent years is coming due. We need a council that is able to look residents in the face and guarantee that they will all be getting the services that they deserve. We cannot take any section of our township for granted, but that's what's happened since July 2018, and it gets worse year after year. At council workshops, we heard promises of a multi-year budgeting process, but nothing has happened. We need to pay our employees the fair wages they deserve. Of course, both ordinances should be passed, but we need a council with a basic honesty to look residents in the face and tell them that budgets are being balanced through the systematic reduction in the quantity and quality of services. This is becoming apparent to more and more residents, and we should be able to look at our budget to plan for the years ahead, looking at how these changes will be made and how this will be impacting budgets, not just for this year, but for 22, 23, 24, 25. We have the data. We can do it. We just have not done it. And each year we pretend somehow it's going to get better next year. Thank you.
Bringing in Chuck Powers.
Good evening. I'd like to build on what both Councilman Kaplan and what former Councilman Sohn just talked about. It is inherent that if you are going about a process of adding 2% every year for 4 years, as we are doing now with some of these labor agreements, that there will be enormous amount of pressure from the rest of the things that the township needs to buy in a economy where it's very clear that inflation will be part and parcel of the fundamentals that we will be dealing with. We really need to have the citizens involved in the process. And beginning on Monday, the manager is required, as he always is, to meet with the department heads and discuss their budgets. And I really encourage those of you who care about how it is that the town's going to take on inflation while not sort of incurring significant losses in service quality to participate in those meetings with the departments. You can find those on the front page under the news section of your website. And I encourage many citizens to actually get engaged in the budget process, because we have a hard road to go to keep taxes under control, meet the service requirements, and somehow take on the inflationary costs that are inherent all over this process. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Sure. Mayor, I do not see any other hands.
All right,
Mr. Mayor.
Deputy Mayor. Schwartz.
So I just want to agree fully with Chuck Powers, with Dr. Powers, I apologize. One way what we've been able to do, because you're right, we cannot increase our salaries without increasing our revenue. So I wasn't sure if you was listening before when I presented from the planning board perspective, the recent developments. But as you may recall, the developments have brought in now up to almost $7 million annually in new developments over the years. And I reported back on that. And that's how this council, both which Mr. Sohn was a member of also, and began the building of these new buildings such as Avalon and 1500 Teaneck Road, now bringing millions and millions of dollars, add the hotels, and it's close to $7 million now in new money. So absolutely right. And we have some new developments in the works that will help offset the increase in our wages without taking money from our homeowners.
Yeah, and I'll just add that in the process of doing the budget this year, I believe in the first time since I've been on, we spent a lot of time looking at not only what we needed to do in 22, but also in 23, and how 22 will set us up for the next year. This is what I've wanted to do since I've come on council in terms of starting to look forward, and we are doing that now. You can't build a 10-year plan when you have a no-year plan. So we're going in the right direction, and as you saw in the report, we have a clean audit, and we're moving forward. And again, I thank the manager and his staff for what they've done. Okay, so at this point, I want to hear a motion to move ordinance.
Motion Schwartz. Move on all
Second.
ordinances.
Number 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, and 47. Second,
So moved.
Second.
call the roll, please.
Councilman Begun,
Yes.
Councilwoman Organ,
Yes.
Councilman Kaplan,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Schwartz,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Katz,
Yes.
Mayor Dunleavy.
Yes.
Publication sent out tomorrow.
Thank you. At this point, we will open the meeting up to the public for good and welfare and public input on any issue. Doug?
Yes, sir. As the mayor has just said, general public and Teaneck residents, this is our general public portion. Anything that's on your mind, you have 3 minutes to share with council. Again, my name is Doug, your town clerk. If you are unable to fit your thoughts and comments and concerns into the 3 minutes allotted, please email me directly at clerk@teanecknj.gov, and I will make sure that we copy and paste your thoughts verbatim into the minutes. The first hand that we saw go up, it's a hashtag. Please state your name for the record when I bring you in. Hashtag kosher alcoholic Blayberg. Kosher alcoholic Blayberg. If it's not a problem, please state your name for the record. Kosher alcohol.
Hi, this is Deborah Blayberg. Sorry
Oh,
about
hello.
sorry about the Zoom. I have Zoom issues.
Deborah Blayberg, 3 minutes.
Yes, Deborah Blayberg, Teaneck resident, Sherman Avenue. I'm calling with regards to the sacred burial grounds on Pomander Walk. There have recently been incidents where members of the public have been falsely accused of being on the private there's a house next door that is private land being accused of being on the homeowner's land. There is absolutely no physical boundary visible. And therefore accusations can be made left, right and center, police sent to people's houses, and it's pretty scary sometimes. So I was wondering if the town, how they go about putting an ordinance or making sure, because the public land, which is the sacred burial ground, belongs to the town, and the house next door, which is built on the mound, with which the town really should have bought, belongs to a private homeowner. Is there a way to create a definitive boundary that is in keeping with the area in order to ensure that no more people are falsely accused of being on someone's land? Because it's not pleasant. And when you consider making a barrier an offence, please don't use one of those horrible chain link things, because the area itself is prone to flooding. And when there's flooding, when the river rises, animals and creatures get whooshed to the side and they can get trapped in those fences. So it would be considerate maybe to consult with the people who actually deal with that area and curate it and keep it nice, to make sure that it is in keeping with the area. You just need a low barrier, something that clearly defines the homeowner's property from the public land, so that the public can no longer be harassed by the homeowner who seems to feel that the entire area belongs to them. So I would really appreciate that, and thank you very much and have a good evening.
You too.
Thank you.
Bringing in Beverly Garvin. Trying to at least. Oh. Beverly Garvin.
Okay, I'm sorry. Can you guys hear me?
Loud and clear, you have 3 minutes.
Okay, hi, how are you guys? That was quick. Number one, I just wanted to say thank you so much for helping us out with this issue on Tryon Avenue. I wanted to ask if there's a possibility. I believe it was Councilman Schwartz who said that maybe we could invite you guys out for just some donuts and coffee so that you can just see personally what it's like. We do have 2 residents who have special needs kids, so that's becoming a problem too as the cars race by. But also, I know you got, I don't know what your hours are, but maybe if it's between like 4 and 6 at any time, or any time you can make it would be perfect. And also, when you guys are speaking of putting the signs up to report how fast people are driving, are those the permanent signs, like the ones that we have on Queen Anne Road by Votey Park? That's kind of what we were looking for, because since June, it's been 1 accident a month. So we thank you for smoothing the roads out, but unfortunately, when you smooth the roads out, people are just really taking over the street. So we just want to be safe, and that's it. And the last question, the third question is there a possibility for stop signs where the bus stop lets off, if we can get a stop sign? And that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bringing in Mr. Alan Sohn.
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, sir. 3 minutes.
Will council now take money away from Ms. Lacey and the MLK event? Ellie, you've been shamelessly political and you've been handed a township street for the use of you and your tenants. When will that be taken away from you? Mr. Shedanian will get $26,000 tonight for his work defending the township's efforts to thwart 2 ballot initiatives, one moving elections from May to November and another to provide clean energy choice. Unlike Teaneck v. Jones, where he had defrauded the township of tens of thousands of dollars, this billing appears legal. But just like Teaneck v. Jones, Mr. Shedanian had every single argument he made in both cases rejected in their entirety. His most offensive argument in Lacey v. Teaneck was the claim that the constitutional rights of 3,500 residents who signed petitions should be abridged because the council would lose their opportunity to express their opinions on the initiative to move elections from May to November. As Mr. Shedanian knows, this was an outright lie to Judge Wilson. Every council member had the opportunity and continues to express their own opinions on the 2 ballot initiatives. Council members Katz, Pagan, Kaplan, and Schwartz have been vocal that the switch from May to November should be rejected because it will bring in party bosses and outside influences to get contracts. The organization Teaneck Community Watch, which is listed as the entity paying for the signs opposing the 2 initiatives, has no report of any kind online on file with the Election Law Enforcement Commission, ELEC. This is hardly a surprise. In the 2020 municipal election, the Moving Teaneck Forward slate of Pagan, Organ, and Schwartz took thousands of dollars from party bosses across the state. They also took $900 in contribution in exchange for a $20,000 contract awarded to the Nishwin Group in July 2020. It was more than 6 months later, in January 21, that Pagan, Organ, and Schwartz were forced to come clean as part of an ELEC audit to disclose the tens of thousands of dollars that had not been reported before the election. It's hardly a surprise that the same council members are refusing to comply with disclosure requirements for this Teaneck Community Watch. Mr. Katz, you've been vocal about the claim that party bosses will come to Teaneck if elections are held in November. Who are these party bosses? Why do you not acknowledge the fact that you and your council colleagues opposing the May to November switch have benefited from the generous support of party bosses to your campaigns over the years? Mr. Schwartz, Mr. Pagan, and Kaplan, you've put up signs paid by Teaneck Community Watch. Who is this organization? Why do they have nothing online filed with ELEC? It's bad enough that our township attorney is willing to lie directly to a judge, but it should offend every resident and every voter that the members of the township council are willing to lie to residents.
Mr. Stone, the 3 minutes were up. You do have my email. Please send me an email if you had any other thoughts that we were unable to fit in. I see Chuck Powers.
I hope you can hear me now.
Yes, sir. 3 minutes.
I want to start with a genuine question to the manager. We now are apparently prepared to go ahead and commit to buying the body cams for our police officers that are now definitely required by state law. I'm glad that that's happening. I think we need to have a sort of review of how quickly we're going to be able to not only buy these very important pieces of equipment for public safety and for the protection of both officers as well as residents, but how quickly will they actually be operative, and how have we worked out the issue of maintaining the full range of data that they will generate? A second issue is I've now completely nonplussed by the fact that the council continues never to put into place the required site plan review advisory board that is not only its own ordinance, but is supported by state law, so that we can get some expertise to the people who actually sit on our land use boards, so that the things that Mr. Schwartz said more generally are actually true in all cases. So, for example, why is it when we are putting up this 5-story apartment house in Alfred Avenue that we've given it away tax-free? We need a site plan advisory board so that Teaneck does not end up again in the same situation it is when $100 million was handed out last week, and both Englewood and Hackensack got everything they wanted from Green Acres, and Teaneck, with the $750,000 of requests, got zero. The OSRP that we never get reviewed may very well have a very significant role in it. But in any event, we owe that to the state 3 years ago. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I am bringing in Aziz. Hello, Aziz. Please state your full name for the record if you wish.
Yeah, my name is Aziz Osmani. I'm a resident of Teaneck, New Jersey.
Awesome. You have 3 minutes, my friend.
Okay. I have very little to say. Basically, I would like to get an update on the chicken ordinance. I would very much like to keep chickens in my backyard. So anything that you can answer and let us know as to, the progress. Thank you.
Thank you, Aziz. I am now bringing in Liza. Please state your full name for the record, Eliza. Whenever you're ready, please state your name for the record. Floor is yours, Eliza.
Sorry, I was muted.
All good. 3 minutes.
My name is Eliza Leon, and I'm calling to talk about chickens. It's been a while. I know that we were thinking about putting out an ordinance on them, but unfortunately, the ordinance that was planned, we couldn't actually buy any coops that were not made to order. which should be an incredible cost for people who actually want chickens. It is a really beautiful practice. This summer, I used a mosquito company, probably isn't really good for the environment or my children, to help with mosquitoes. Chickens would definitely help with different bugs, would help with some invasive species bugs we're having right now. I'm excited for my kids to be able to, learn from the chickens and have them as pets and understand where our food comes from. And I really hope we get back on the wagon on this one. I know it's not the craziest, most important issue that Teaneck has, probably by a lot, but if you could do this for the residents, I think it would be wonderful, especially not having an exorbitant fee that's tagged along with it. So thank you so much for your time and all the best.
Thank you, Eliza. Andrea Schumann. Andrea Schumann, the floor is yours for 3 minutes.
Okay, yes. Yeah, my name is Andrea Schumann. I am a Teaneck resident. I'm just calling in my support of the backyard chickens. I'm really excited to hopefully be able to buy local fresh eggs from my neighbors who may want to own chickens and participate in that whole practice. I'm one of the earth-friendly residents. I'm not into mosquito spraying either. Never have sprayed, and I'm doing great with not being too bothered by mosquitoes with just planting the right plants. Anyway, that's I really have little to say. I just wanted to really show my support real quickly for the chickens. Thank you.
Thank you. I am bringing in Paula Rogovan. Paula Rogovan, the floor is yours for 3 minutes.
Hi. That was a shameful attack by some of the council members against Jeremy Lenz, somebody who's dedicated so much of his time, so much of his life to bringing a very progressive and activist film festival to Teaneck. What a disgraceful attack. This festival features films about women's rights, LGBTQ rights, about anti-racism, about climate. What a disgrace to even consider not providing funds for this festival, and what a disgrace to attack Jeremy Lenz. Similar by almost the same council members has been an attack about municipal questions 1 and 2. 1, to move the township elections from May to November so more people can vote, which is about democracy, expanding participation in democracy. And 2, to have Teaneck provide renewable energy for all residents, keeping PSE&G, helping to, in our small way, to stop climate change. What a disgrace, that kind of attack that we face with these campaigns. I'd like to, before I go to the next, something that I think is also very important about what's going on with early voting, I would like to request that the manager send a robocall on Sunday night after early voting is finished, send a robocall reminding residents that there is an election on Tuesday. The election will be at the regular polling site, and it will be on the old-fashioned machines. And I would like to have that happen. But I do want to talk about what happened on Saturday morning when people went to vote at Rhoda, early voting. And I know this is run by the county, so this is not an attack on Teaneck Town Council. But when the first few people came to vote, they could not vote yes on the municipal questions 1 and 2. They literally could not vote yes. The county was called in and some repairs were made, sort of. Because now you can vote yes on the municipal questions, but it's so difficult. So I want to encourage everyone who's listening, spread the word. Vote yes on the municipal questions 1 and 2. And if you have trouble voting yes, because it's really, really difficult, if you have trouble voting yes, press Zoom. If that doesn't work, ask a poll worker. They have been instructed by the county.
Ms. Rogovin, you have my email. If we were unable to fit all of your comments in that 3 minutes, please shoot me an email and I will copy and paste into the minutes verbatim. clerk@teanecknj.gov. Teaneck residents, that is our email. If you would like to send me anything to include in the minutes, clerk@teanecknj.gov. I have brought in Noah Liven.
Hi, thank you, Noah Lieben here.
Lieben, sorry, 3 minutes.
Not a problem. Thanks very much. I wanted to say thank you to a few of the council members since the last meeting. I believe some things have happened in town. Deputy Mayor Schwartz, I think you were instrumental in bringing Hollywood to our backyards. I thought that was very cool. I know a lot of us got a kick out of that. That was very nice. Councilwoman Organ, thank you for organizing those flu shots. I benefited from that. I know a lot of people did. Thank you very much. Councilman Pagan, thank you for your efforts on the mail theft issue that has been ongoing and a source of consternation for a lot of people for a long time. And I understand you had a big effort in coordinating with the federal authorities to finally get a move on that. So thank you very much. And thank you to everyone for organizing a wonderful, if rainy, Teaneck Day. That was a lot of fun. And I know the rain subsided and people came out and celebrated 100 years of our town. Did I get that right? It was 100 years. It was a lot. It was good. It was good. You did a great job. So thank you to the council for doing that. Councilman Pagan, just one issue that I take issue with. I did not hear the whole discussion. I won't comment on all of it, but it was a little bit unfair, I think, to attack Mr. Lentz for being one of the petitioners who sued the town. He did, of course, he was one of the 5 committee of petitioners who sued the town on behalf of One Town, One Vote. But he did that as in that capacity. It was not in his individual capacity or on behalf of TIF. I think those issues ought to be separated and really shouldn't be seen together for that reason. Lastly, I think most of you probably already know, I support the One Town, One Vote initiative. I think it'll help promote voter turnout in Teaneck Town Council elections. I think we all, myself included, need to work hard to educate voters on all of the issues, whether they're in May or November. But I certainly support OTAV, and I urge people to vote yes on municipal question 1. And that's what I have. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Noah. Bring in Laverne Lightburn. Laverne Lightburn, the floor is yours.
Oh, I'm trying to get in. Hello?
Yes, you're in. You have 3 minutes, Laverne.
Okay, the reason I'm calling you has to do with the fact that we have legal marijuana. I have nothing against it. However, I do have a problem when I come out of a store in Cedar Lane and I run into a puff of smoke with people actually rolling their joints and with a lot of weight in their hand. So I'm a little concerned. I was curious on how we're going to be handling the marijuana situation in the parks and around town. I didn't know that you can actually do it out on the street. You know, I don't want us to be like New York, where everywhere you go, you smell it. So that's the reason I'm calling in as a concerned citizen. Also wanted to promote the fact that I am the initiative. I want everybody to get out and vote for vote 1, vote yes, because I would like to see more people come out and vote. And I would like it to be moved to November to make it more convenient for a lot of parents that are working, and it makes it easier for our lives. And I think it's a win for democracy, period. So that's all I have to say today. Y'all have a nice day. I really would like y'all to answer me on how we're dealing with the marijuana situation. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Laverne. Bringing in Reg McCon.
Hey, good evening, everyone. How are you? This is Reshma Khan, TNEC resident. I went in to do the early voting, realized that due to ballot design, the yes button on the municipal questions, actually both buttons don't work. I had to really navigate with my stylus, get help from a poll worker, and finally managed to vote yes. But my question is, isn't the town manager and the town clerk an independent office? If there was a problem, even with the county elections, whom should I go to? Who is my town representative to call when that happens? Shouldn't something be done? Shouldn't we be reaching out to Department of Elections? I understand the council is not for these two initiatives. We had to jump through a lot of hoops to get on the ballot, but what is the process? Honestly, don't know. So that's my first question. Second question is, I heard that Jeremy Lenz, who is a friend of mine, was being targeted tonight. I don't think there's any need to do that. Jeremy has only endorsed on the committee of petitioners with the One Town, One Vote, as well as the CCA. He's only endorsed in his personal capacity as a person, as a resident of our town for the last 16 years. He has been a change maker, brought about a lot of good for the town, for the community. I'm not sure if this is going to be the way council operates, using bully pulpit to go after individuals. I don't know if any individuals would come up to do any good in the town, or are they always going to be blacklisted for doing and bringing positive change for the town? So I am asking, what is the reason a certain individual is discussed in town council and then used as a target to decide if council should donate to a festival or organization that they are supporting? So I hope I get an answer to both my questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I see Jesse Leon. Jesse Leon, my friend. Jesse, 3 minutes, sir.
Good evening. I just want to start out by asking for an update from the manager about the sidewalk next to Sagamore Park that I had brought up at last meeting. I haven't seen any change there, so I just want to know if it's in the works. And of course, chickens. You're hearing from the chicken lovers again, and that's by design. At the last council meeting, Deputy Mayor Katz said no one's driving this train, and I object because I am driving this train, or at least I'm trying to. I've given you guys 2 perfectly serviceable ordinances that were pre-written for you. I've taken the work out of the effort. All you got to do is put it up and pass it. I understand that Councilman Kaplan said that we're waiting to hear from the new health officer, but frankly, the jury is way out on chickens. In New York City, you can have as many chickens as you want as long as you conform with zoning and health codes. And New York City is far, far more dense and more urban than Teaneck is. So I challenge you specifically, Councilman Katz. You should drive the train. You've said over and over again, you're for the chickens, and I'd like to see you put your money where your mouth is. Have a great night.
Thank you, Jesse. I have Yassine coming on.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, sir.
Thank
3
you.
minutes.
All right. I was waiting for somebody to say good things about the 125th anniversary. And then, well, I guess Mr. Lieben did that, but I'll add to it that we have the best DJ in Bergen County in the person of Doug Roussillon. So that's a good thing. Since Councilwoman Rice is not here tonight, I'm going to give you the Advisory Board on Community Relations report very quickly. First, I'm not upset at anybody, but we were expecting to be on the agenda tonight for a presentation to report on our initiative regarding diversity, equity, and inclusion. That's not, again, but I would like to hear from, and I know that we're going to do this in November per Mayor Dunleavy, but I would like to get some recommendations as to how to go about this in the future. What's the best way to make sure that when we make a request to be on the agenda, that we be included in the agenda? Is that something that we have to work out better with our liaison, etc.? I would like to hear some type of recommendation about that. But we are ready to proceed with a preliminary plan that's going to include an assessment and a baseline and scorecard on diversity, equity, inclusion in TNEC. And then we want to have want to celebrate National Day of Prayer. We want to have a Board and Commission Day, Awareness Day, with coordination with the different places in TNEC that have audiences so that folks know about the boards and commissions and apply and have more a bigger pool of applications. In addition, etc. So we can share more details later. And I would like to let you know that the Advisory Board on Community Relations met in October, and then we had Deputy Chief Figello as our guest, and then he was very, very informing. We discussed use of force and bias reports, and then we may make some comments and recommendations later, but overall, I believe we are satisfied. So thank you so much, folks. This was a very positive meeting, I have to say. Have a good evening, everybody.
Thank you, Yassine. And Yassine, going forward, when it goes to getting the board stuff on the agenda, please communicate with me directly. You have my number. Give me a call or shoot me an email, and I will make sure that I communicate that effectively with council. Sorry that happened. We'll work to get you on in November. Mayor, I see no other hands.
Okay, so we will close good and welfare for this evening, and I'll turn now to my colleagues on the council for some comments. And so I will first call up Councilmember Kaplan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As I get my notes out in front of me here. Just real quick regarding chickens, I did have a chance to speak with our health officer, and she is reviewing. Obviously, she started fairly recently and had a lot of stuff due to COVID to take care of. She did have some initial opinions regarding chickens, which, I'm happy to share with you privately, assuming she's okay with me doing so. And I hope to get a formal comment within the next meeting. So someone will be driving the train. Regarding Ms. Khan, ballot design issues are county issues. And to be clear, there are requirements and limits to everything government does. When it comes to voting, those are delineated quite clearly. If your question is, who do we talk to about those issues? Obviously, you can talk to us, but the appropriate people to speak to are the County Board of Elections. If the question is, why isn't the town doing something? Well, it's the same answer. The County Board of Elections is the one to be doing something. So the most we can do is share your feedback with the Board of Elections, and I've asked the clerk to do that. I've also asked if we can create some form so that people can collate those views. I've shared a form of my own so I can share that feedback with the county, but that is all we can do there. And quite frankly, the last thing I would want is to take action and have someone view that as stepping one way or another in how people are voting. I would prefer to let the county handle this in the appropriate avenues and not open myself up or anyone up to potential bias claim dealing with how votes are taking place. To be clear, from Ms. Lightburn, there is currently zero zero recreational cannabis being sold under licensed retailers in New Jersey. If you are seeing what you described, that is illegal or illegally obtained cannabis in one way, shape, or form. What we are trying to do is do away with illegal sellers by having licensed facilities that put them out of business. That is the sole reason for doing that. Regarding Mr. Sohn, he had questioned the value of new ratables and whether or not additional 0% tax levy increases would continue. That was in the minutes of July 17th, 2018. I am happy he is continuing to ask that question. I believe it's his 18, 19, 20, fourth year asking it that we are doing 0% increases. And I'm happy that Deputy Mayor Schwartz has indicated how we are bringing in additional revenue in order to keep the municipal side of the ledger clear. For the public that wants to see it, it's in the July 17th, 2018 minutes. I want to speak for a second about the municipal questions. The reason that it's important to keep elections in May. I've mentioned this several times, but local elections deserve local attention. There's very little focus in news media and the general population that happens in November. People focus on presidential races, they focus on congressional races. Traditionally, nonpartisan races were in May so that people can focus on them. And I will grant you, turnout can be higher in November races, but if you take a look at what happens in those races, when the highest race, and I'll just take 2020 out because that was a bit of a wild card with everything being vote by mail, but the next highest race was 2016, and of the 20 something thousand voters that came out to vote, 64% of the eligible Board of Ed votes didn't take place. People don't go down ballot in those races. And I would support a get out the vote effort that actually gets people to vote in those races. But one of the things we need to come to terms with is the fact that people do not simply show up and vote in races when they cannot focus on the local issues. The whole reason for the May elections and what used to be April for Board of Ed was so that people focus on those and then come out for them. Regarding question 2 for community choice aggregation, it's important that the public realize these are renewable energy credits that offset the energy use on paper. It doesn't change the electricity generation in our area. It doesn't change, the Linden generating plant that's creating, whether it's coal or whatever dirty energy is in our area. These proposals typically enrich lobbyists. The people that create the request for proposal for these programs get a portion of every kilowatt hour that you use under these programs. A portion of that payment you make from each of the 10,000 homes in Teaneck will go to the lobbyists that create them. Who are the lobbyists? The lobbyists are people like Gable and Associates. Now, Mr. Gable used to be the head of the BPU, the public entity that regulates these energy providers. Now, there are various interchanges. The only interchange in the country that doesn't have a majority of clean energy is ours, the PJM. And the people in charge of making those decisions instead found a way that after they are out of the public sphere, can enrich themselves by these schemes of buying renewable energy certificates that offset the energy use so we can pretend that our air is cleaner. And the fact of the matter is the current chair and the former chair of the Environmental Commission have both expressed reservations about this. At the very last meeting, the current chair of the Environmental Commission, Mr. Gillers, said it's important that we're careful with language. Community choice aggregation will not improve the environment of Teaneck. It'll support renewable energy credit swaps, which overall in the long term can mitigate climate change. The more we're encouraging renewable renewable energies. And I think for the broader environment, absolutely makes a huge difference, but it's not going to affect Teanec's environment in any measurable way. That's what Mr. Giller said. Previous chair of the Environmental Commission, Mr. Raghavan, said what seems like a good idea with a very small actual impact on climate change is structured in a way that a small group of former utility officials stand to benefit handsomely if this legislation passes for a dubious amount of actual work. That seems wrong to me. There are far better ways to incentivize local green energy purchases than enriching people who were once the regulators and Group New Jersey with the highest polluting states, all coal dependent. Now, that's what the independent people say. I understand that people like Paula Raghavan truly believe these are important programs. But to go and say that this is a small way to stop climate change is a bit too much. It doesn't stop climate change. It enriches lobbyists by a little sleight of hand with bureaucratic red tape. So that's why I am against those two. I believe we should actually do real solutions to real problems. And I think that as members of an elected body, it pays for us to have those real conversations with people about real ways to do things so we don't fall into a trap that it's easy enough, good enough for government work. That might fly in other places. We should try to be better than that here. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Kaplan. That was the longest 3 minutes in my history. Councilmember Pagan. Councilmember Pagan. Mike, you're muted. There you go. Mike.
I think he's frozen, Mayor.
Okay.
That's not good.
We're all
right.
freezing tonight.
Then Councilmember Organ, go ahead. If Mike comes back, I'll go back to him.
Okay, so Councilmember Kaplan, I think, pretty much answered everybody except for Ms. Blayberg and Ms. Garvin. To Ms. Garvin, if you could just send the 2 questions you had in an email, that would be great. I'm happy to come stand with you and eat donuts anytime. To Ms. Blayberg, I think if there's an issue with the homeowner, before it accelerates, maybe it would be smart on our part to put some delineation there, and that would protect the citizens and the homeowner. So I'm happy to come and take a look there. As far as the chickens go, I think I've been waiting all night to say this. It's time for them to roost, and we should address the issue now. I think the people that have come out and spoken about it have been incredibly patient and incredibly respectful. And so if we could council list the information from the health officer for the next meeting in November, we'll have her letter. We can discuss then and either, see if we have 4 nodding heads to put the ordinance forward. But I think it's time. This has been going on for too long, and whichever way we decide, we should be deciding already. And that is it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Pagan, are you back?
Yes, sir. Sorry, I was frozen.
Okay, that's okay. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. I wanted to let residents know that several arrests have been made concerning our ongoing problem with male marauders and male pirates. And I hope that they get prosecuted under the full extent of the law because they have hurt a lot of families in Teaneck. I want to thank our police department for working with federal postal police officers. And I also want to thank Congressman Josh Gottheimer for helping us with this because the post office is a federal agency. And by working with the congressman, we were able to help nudge the post office police to move their investigation along a little faster so that arrests could be made. But I want to warn residents to please continue to be careful when mailing checks and to please consider paying your bills online if possible, because that is one of the best ways to prevent mail marauders and mail pirates from stealing your checks in the mail. In other news, the cost of living adjustment for Social Security was recently increased by 5.9%. And that is the largest increase made since the 1970s, which is great news because we do have a lot of seniors living on a fixed income in Teaneck. And since Halloween is this weekend, I wanted to wish everyone a happy Halloween, but I also want to remind parents to please be extra careful with their children when crossing the street, because sadly, Halloween is the day when most children in America are hit by cars. So please be careful this weekend while enjoying your trick or treating. Also, Veterans Day falls on November 11th, but this council will not be meeting until after then. So I wanted to thank all of our veterans for their service early, because Teaneck has the largest veteran population in all of Bergen County. And when it comes to the voting machines, the county has sent a technician to inspect the machines at the Rota Center almost daily. And the machines are working properly, but voters have to follow the instructions to a T to cast their ballot. It is unfortunate that so many folks are having trouble, but this is what happens when you move elections to November. The county runs the elections and the county decides what machines are used, not us. And we have been in communication with the county to see how things can be run better in the future. So lastly, I want to remind residents to please vote, because Election Day is rapidly approaching. You can either vote by mail, you can vote early at the Rota Center, or you can vote on November 2nd at your local polling location. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That is my time.
Thank you, Councilmember Pagan. Deputy Mayor Schwartz.
Yes, I'll make my comments brief and give the rest of it to Keith Kaplan for his past use. If Mr. Manager, in regards to the fence by the delineation of the property line by the burial ground, if we can please maybe take a look into that a little deeper so we could avoid some tension. I know Ms. Deanip has worked very hard on that project, and we want to make sure that remains as sacred as it is. And lastly, I just want to agree with Ms. Lightburn that we want to make voting as easy as possible, regardless of what happens in the outcome of shifting the elections to county control. What I'd like to just point out is you always can vote by mail and absentee ballot. I've been doing it for about 18 years now, and something I strongly recommend, where you simply mail in your ballots every year. It used to have to put postage on it, but starting last year, and I noticed again this year, you no longer have to put postage, it's postage paid. So best way to vote, easiest way to vote, and you don't miss work. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Deputy Mayor Katz.
Yes, so first is regarding the chickens. I'm happy to hear that Councilmember Organ has requested that it go on to an agenda so that it does see the light of day and get discussed again. And hopefully we'll have a positive outcome based on the feedback from the health department. So the residents that have been very patient and have been very respectful and want this can hopefully get it. As far as the I just want to add some clarification or clarity because it was mentioned about attacking the TIF and maybe, sometimes when you speak, you don't necessarily come off the way you meant it. And I received a text from a very prominent resident, and I take her comments very seriously. So I don't think anyone's attacking the TIF. I think we all agreed, and I started saying that it's the jewel of Teaneck, that it's a spectacular organization. It makes Teaneck look amazing. And that I think it's said that it saddened me and several residents that it's being politicized by, and I didn't mention anyone's name, I mentioned the title, but by the director. And, listen, if you want to attack me because some residents have brought this up to many of us and are concerned, then fine, attack me. But you know what? We have a responsibility. And I think Councilmember Organ's had a very civil idea on how to address this, right? When we talk about something in private, then we're accused of talking behind closed doors. And we talk about something in public, then we're disparaging and attacking people for wrong. So Councilmember Organ said, okay, let's go find out the facts and come back to the council. And I think that that's a very good idea. And I think it's important, we do request financials when we deal with other donations. And I think that that's important. And especially since it is being brought up because of, and please don't make Councilman Kaplan put together a montage of all the times this director has used his title, because he will do that. It's there, okay? And everyone knows it's there. And that's the issue, that the way it's being politicized. but no way, shape, or form, let me be clear, if there's nothing else you get out of this, no way, shape, or form do any of us not support or want to attack or not be clear about our support of the TIF and all the great things that they do and have done. And as I mentioned, the town is donating in kind several thousands of dollars to the TIF already. That's being done. This was brought up because an additional request for financial contribution was being made. And that's the reason this saw the light of day. Had that not been on the agenda, probably never been mentioned. And we would have had a great event. We've been publicized in all of our township venues and all of our township social medias, etc. And it would have still been great for Teaneck. So I hope that's clear. I hope that what I said and what I meant is clear. And hopefully we could resolve this concern that many residents have about the politicizing by one specific individual and what they say is abusive of his title or etc. So that's how I wanted to be clear about that. And like I said, we're very supportive of the TIF. We're very supportive of the great work that the TIF does. We put our money where the mouth is. We have the in-kind contributions of the TIF. And hopefully that clarity to the people that have any questions or doubts. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I just have a couple of comments. First of all, Ms. Garvin, please include me in any of your correspondence. I would love to come over to Tryon and talk with you and the residents regarding the issues. And if you're pouring coffee, I'm there. I love coffee. Let's see. Ms. Khan, I'm not sure if you heard what we did do about the Saturday event, even though it is not our responsibility regards to the voting, that both the manager, the clerk, and myself were on the phone dealing with the issue. They were talking to the superintendent of elections at the county. Our clerk went to Rhoda to see what was going on and talked with the technicians that were working on the issue. So while it is not our responsibility, we took our responsibility because I wanted to make sure that regardless of what anybody wanted to vote, yes, no, whatever, that they felt that their vote was counted and counted properly, because that's the way elections should be run in this country. So I also know that tomorrow there will be a meeting with the superintendent of elections and the president of the company that makes the machines. And we will have a representative from the town there too, talking about what's going on with these machines going forward. So again, I think the town did everything that they could within our responsibility, and we'll do everything that we can to make sure that everybody's vote is valid and the way they want to vote. In terms of the ballot, please understand that part of the issue was the ballot that we're dealing with, which has county, state, municipal questions, you name it. If we didn't have all that stuff and maybe just had the municipal election stay in May or the Board of Ed stay in May, we wouldn't have had the issue of people being able to read what was on the screen. So it's part and parcel of what we want to do. Now, again, understand that these machines we are dealing with for the early voting are the ones that are going to be used going forward after this November election. November 2nd, there will be regular machines. But other than that, we are going to be using these because the county has made the agreement to do it. So think about that in terms of how your ballot is going to look in the future if everything goes to one day. And Ms. Khan, if you have any other questions about it, you can feel free to email me on any of that. Jesse, the sidewalk at Sagamore, Dean, let's have a discussion, and Jesse, can you send me a detailed email, and Dean and I will discuss that. I think that may have flown through my radar a little bit. I apologize. So if you could do that and we could take a look at that, I would appreciate it. Yassine, in terms of your report, it was just purely a matter of timing. And so that's why I asked you to do the report in November, no more, no less. You heard that you can talk to the clerk directly. The clerk will ask me with regards to how the agenda looks, whether or not we can do it now or then. And so that was the sole decision as to why it was done to move into November. So I'm sorry if you had some other message with regards to when you could do your report, but that's the process by which we use. So I did that and I did that. And I think I'll wind up, I think, Dean, you have something you want to add?
Yes, Mayor, I think you just brought up the Sagamore sidewalks. That was discussed last meeting. DPW was charged with the responsibility of securing proposals. Again, that they're in the process of doing that. So it just takes a little time to get this going, make sure we have the funding, but we're on it. We're aware of it. They're seeking proposals and that work will be done. Veterans Day ceremony, Municipal Green. I failed to bring this up before. 11 o'clock, November 11th, rain or shine. We have a tent, seating under the tent, light refreshments that day. Colonel McGilchrist will be our keynote for the day. Regarding Laverne Lightburn's question about marijuana, I used to be an expert on this, but so much has changed. You need a scorecard. My understanding, if you're in possession of under 6 ounces, the police department just seizes the marijuana and issues you a warning. Subsequent offenses could result in a summons being issued. I encourage you to contact a member of the police department, community policing, or administration if you need further information on that. Regarding our body worn cameras, Motorola WatchGuard had an issue under Sourcewell. Part of the equipment, I believe it was the cloud service, was not originally covered under state contract. This is no fault of ours. Many municipalities had the same issue that are going with Motorola WatchGuard because the other carrier, I believe it's Axon, was tremendously higher in cost. There's nobody that wants the cameras more than myself, and the police department is well on board with this. We serve at the mercy of the distributor. So as soon as we get these cameras, they will be set up. I was speaking to the deputy chief today about it. As long as we get the cameras, we should be good to go by the end of the year. Many municipalities are in the same position. It's not just TNEC. There are attorney general guidelines that dictate the whole scenario with storage and guidelines. The AG came out with the initial set of guidelines in 2015. They were updated in May of 2021 this year. So everyone should feel secure that this will be done the right way, and it's not our fault for any sort of delays. And I'm very anxious. The police department is very anxious to get these up and running, and we'll get them done as soon as we get them in. That's it.
Okay. Thank you, Dean. All right, let's move on. Consent agenda. Doug, can you read the amount of the bill list, please?
Mr. Mayor, I let the record reflect. I'm sorry, I have to excuse myself at this time.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Be safe, Deputy Mayor.
You got that, Doug?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so we're considering the consent agenda tonight, which is minutes, resolutions 264 to 278-2021, and the bill list in the amount of $10,614,328.97.
So moved, Schwartz.
So moved.
Second.
Anybody wish to pull anything from the consent agenda? I had one question myself. Resolution 270 and 277. Is this different? Or am I not understanding it?
Sorry, Mayor. I need to pull them up quickly, if you bear with me just for a second.
270 is for the Zetron 911 consoles.
Okay.
Communication and equipment.
And let me see,
I know,
you said
I think-
270.
Yeah, 277, Dean, I believe it's, I forget the vendor's name. I think I might have had a spelling error here, a typo.
You're not referring to Goose Town, Doug?
Let me pull it up real quick. I
Well,
apologize, everybody.
Goosetown is 270.
Right.
Yeah.
277 is amending a resolution 233.
I might have been a little
Person
trigger
used.
happy with my copy and paste that
Okay.
day.
Well,
Let me
I
just
mean,
double check.
I just, are they two different things is what I'm saying? Are they
I
two
think,
different?
yeah, I think they are. I just need a second to pull it up.
That's fine.
Amending. So this is, no, I believe it's the same thing. No, I mean, not the same exact thing. I believe they are different.
That's fine, as long as we need both.
Yes,
what-
exactly. Yeah, 277 is additional radio equipment
Okay, I don't want to belabor it. I just wanted to know.
and accessories. Yep.
And I
Okay,
believe we had to do that just for everyone's clarity. I believe we had to do that because we were getting more equipment, if I remember correctly. So we had to amend the original resolution doing that.
okay.
Yeah, they are two separate, they're two separate resolutions doing two
Fine.
different,
Thank you.
but kind
Thank
of the same subject matter. Good catch, though.
Thank you. Okay, so we have a motion to move raffles, minutes, resolutions 264, 265, 66, 67, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, and the bill list. Have a second?
Second.
Okay, call the roll.
Councilman Began,
Yes.
Councilman Organ,
Yes.
Councilman Kaplan,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Schwartz,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Katz, he's not here, sorry, Mayor Dunleavy,
Yes.
adopted.
Move down to introduction of ordinances.
Absolutely. We are listening,
We had all yeses.
we're listening to our first reading, a couple ordinances this evening, and I just want to clarify with council. We had on the agenda an ordinance 54-2021, which I had since removed because it was a duplicate of something that we already adopted this evening. So we should be looking at, for introduction, ordinance 48 to 53-2021 is what we are introducing this evening.
Okay.
The duplicate was the FOA contract, and that was my apology.
All right.
We have ordinance number 48-2021, an ordinance amending appendix 3, fees and charges for township services of chapter 2 of the township code entitled Charter Administrative Code relating to administrative fees for police details as heretofore amended by ordinance number 21-2016. Ordinance number 49-2021, amending section 36-11.2 of division 1 of article 2 of chapter 36 entitled Traffic, the township code, adding restricted on-street parking spaces for the handicap at 17 West Englewood Ave. We have ordinance number 50-2021, amending section 36-21, time limited parking to division 3, limited parking of article 2, parking of chapter 36, traffic of the township code, respecting time limited parking in the Palisade Avenue municipal parking lot. Ordinance number 51-2021, authorizing the sale of an easement upon a portion of block 4701, lot 1, and block 4901, lot 2, block 4702, lot 1, and block 4704, lot 1, to PSE&G pursuant to NJSA 40A:12-13. Ordinance number 52-2021, a bond ordinance providing for various 2021 capital improvements by and in the township of Teaneck and the county of Bergen, state of New Jersey, appropriating $5,290,000. Therefore, including 2 grants totaling $288,521, and authorizing the issuance of $4,762,200 of bonds or notes of the township to finance part of the cost thereof. Last but not least, ordinance number 53-2021, amending ordinance 19-2020, entitled An ordinance authorizing a special emergency appropriation pursuant to NJSA 48:4-53, Section H, for the payment of contractually required severance liabilities of the Township of Teaneck, County of Bergen, New Jersey. Those are our ordinances for introduction.
Okay, anybody want to make a comment? Seeing none. Doug, call the roll.
Yeah, did we have a first on it? I apologize.
Schwartz first.
I'm sorry.
All
I
good.
always do- What the hell do I do that?
Good, all good, all good. And we have Councilman Begun,
Yes.
Councilwoman Organ,
Yes.
Councilman Kaplan,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Schwartz,
Yes.
Mayor Dunleavy,
Yes.
all introduced. We'll see them next month.
All right. So we are at the end of our agenda. I just want to say happy Halloween for those who are going to be out there. Please be safe, as Councilmember Pagan mentioned earlier. Take it easy crossing the streets. Do it the right way with the lights, and have a great, safe time. And we'll see you next month.
Motion to adjourn, Schwartz.
Second. All in favor?
Yeah.
Aye.
Okay. Good
Good
night.
night, everyone.
Everybody, be safe.
Have a great
Safe,
night
everybody.
and go
See
vote.
everybody soon.